I walked by and you started crying, and you had this, when babies, it's really super cute. When babies, like when they get scared or upset suddenly, they poke out their bottom lip.
I was known for that. I was doing that all the way till I was in elementary school, because, that's what kids do to kind of get their way.
Oh well, it was terribly cute, and but I was you just started crying, and I could tell. I don't remember how I could tell. I just knew that you were afraid of something. I could just. I was very close to you even as a baby. And so I just picked you up and I comforted you the best I could. And then I just carried you outside. And we did not talk about this again because I had no way of knowing that you would ever remember that day. But many, 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 many years later, you were talking about how you were in the hallway there and that you saw this thing come out of the wall. You knew that we were moving. And I'm like, how in the world does a grown man remember when he was 14 months old?
So I'm glad that you remember to confirm it, because I know it happened. I remember it clearly. See, I remember the event and I remember the thing stepping out of the wall. And of course, I'm not going to remember all the things surrounding it. I remember the event. I remember what happened. I wonder if God, meant for me to remember that for a reason, because I know it's not normal.
That's very true. There's got to be some kind of reason. And it was very weird to me when you brought it up so many years later, because the word you said was something to the effect of, I think we were moving or something, and I was in a hallway, and that's exactly what it was. And I'm like, wow, how did he remember back that far? Because you were just barely a year old. You were very, very young. And if you want to talk more about that later, you were asking about why we ended up moving out of that house, and maybe at another time I'll tell you why. But there was a reason for that. But one thing that you should know is from the time we moved into that house, there were strange things that went on, and we already had somewhat of a tumultuous home in the house that we came from. Typically, we wouldn't have been able to afford that kind of house. But our mother had just received a settlement for a back injury at her job. And so there were a few paranormal things that happened in that house, not to mention that it was just a very volatile situation for children. One thing about that house, when we first moved in, that seemed kind of mysterious. It was a 4-bedroom house, but there were 2 bedrooms. They were kind of connected by a bathroom. It had a bathroom in the middle. Well, those 2 bedrooms were padlocked and separated from the rest of the house for some strange reason. And that's just very odd. You know what I mean? And there were other things. It's just, I will just say that some of the worst times from our childhood, and I know you're too young to remember, but some of the worst times of our childhood was in that house. And there were a few bad things that happened in the house before that, but this particular house, horrible things happened. It was a very difficult situation for a family, for children. But you had mentioned that you saw that demon again later in life. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, and it's crazy because I know that when we left that house on Layden, that demon or demons, I know of one for sure, because I know that's the one that, the demon or demons followed us to the next place and then to the next place. I know they were the same demons, because that same demon that I seen come out of the wall, as I got older, I started to be able to understand a little more. And I always remembered, what I had mentioned earlier. I always remembered that. And I remember what it looked like and everything else. And I always knew that it was around me. It's like everywhere I went, I could feel its presence. And it would terrify me sometimes. And the next place we moved to, because that was a house, and then we moved to the green trailer, right? Okay, so moving from the house on Layden, we moved around a little bit, and we ended up to the green trailer. And the green trailer was a trailer that was falling apart. The ceiling was falling down and everything. Anyways, the demon or demons from the house on Layden, I know followed us to that house, and I knew they were the same demons. You just know. I mean, you feel. So the same demon that was at the house on Layden that I had seen, that same demon, I seen it again 2 houses later. And so we moved to the green trailer, and we knew things went on there. Like, it followed us to there. And then Granny bought us, she bought us a house, a mobile home. And do you remember the house that Granny bought us?
Yes. So do you feel like the demon followed you there also?
Yeah. So basically, from the house on Layden where I had seen the demon that stepped out of the wall and was standing in front of me, that same demon moved to the next house or mobile home that we moved into, because that was a house we moved to, a mobile home, a green mobile home. And, it was a little run down. It had a lot of issues. And the same demon, I felt its presence. I knew it was there. Although I didn't see it there, I knew it was there. And well, as that fell apart, I believe our grandmother sold her house, and she used the money to buy us a new trailer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Well, that new trailer that we moved into, I would always feel the presence of this thing. And I would feel it all the time. And then I seen it again in the kitchen of that mobile home. And I seen it, I don't need to get into all the details, but I always felt it, but I seen it there. And anyways, of course, as a kid, I'm older now. I'm probably, I don't know. I mean, we lost mom at 10. So I was about 8 years old, I'm assuming, 7 or 8, somewhere around there, possibly 9. But, I seen this thing again, and I remember running to mom and dad's room because I was so terrified. And I seen it, and I never seen it again after that. But I felt it all the way, until my adulthood, and it finally went away. And I can get to the to when I stopped feeling its presence later, but I don't feel it anymore. It's gone. But, if you can maybe pick up from there.
Well, I'm going to say one thing, and then I think you should elaborate on why you think the demon went away. One thing I want to say about that, though, is everybody makes fun of this guy, David Icke, because he always talks about, that I think they put these words in his mouth. I'm not quite sure what he said. A lot of politicians and the people in the British royal family, they're like reptilian. But I think what it means is they have demonic influences and maybe even demonic possession. Because in the Bible it says our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the powers and principalities of the dark and heavenly realms. And so it's not all that far-fetched to believe that these demons are behind the scenes trying to make us mess up, because during the times that you saw those demons, that they were present, there was a lot of heartache and darkness going on in the lives of our whole family. And like when we were in the house on Layden, I don't know if this is okay to talk about, but our mother was in the throes of a very heavy drug addiction.
Wait, hold on. Our mother was in what? Could you start there? It broke up right there. Our mother was in what? Because, Robin, a lot of what you're saying, I'm learning as you're talking. I had no idea that you remembered the parts that I remember. We're connected when I seen that thing in the hallway, and you remember the hallway, and you remember picking me up, things I couldn't know. Like the fact that you were there and you remember all that I'm just learning that today. So what were you saying? The things that we're kind of going through. You're talking about mom.
What's going on in our lives, and it wasn't just because our mother dabbled in the occult. There was alcoholism, there was drug addiction, there was other things that I believe that these demons or whatever they were attached themselves to. and I don't know why. There's different theories of why they want to haunt us this way, but it seems like they like it when we are in darkness. And there was a lot during these years. There was chronic illness, there was drug addiction. I believe there was even perversion going on. And I mean, nothing to do with us kids, but there were things going on. Can you hear me okay, Geoff?
I can hear you.
So I think there were things that the darkness was attracted to. And they find channels, they find ways into our lives.